The impossible just happened in deep space, and the James Webb Space Telescope captured every second of it in stunning detail. Oumuamua, the first interstellar object ever detected, the mysterious cigar-shaped visitor that baffled scientists back in 2017 before disappearing into the darkness beyond our solar system, just returned. And it didn't come back alone or by accident. The James Webb Telescope tracked Oumuamua on a trajectory that brought it directly into contact with 3I/ATLAS in what can only be described as a deliberate rendezvous. This wasn't a random collision between two objects drifting through space. The Webb telescope recorded both objects making active course corrections in the hours leading up to contact, adjusting their trajectories with precision that proves they were navigating toward each other intentionally. When they finally made contact, what happened next defies every prediction scientists had made. Instead of a violent impact or destructive collision, the two objects merged. Oumuamua and Atlas physically combined into a single structure, reorganizing themselves at the molecular level in a process that took less than 3 minutes. The energy released during this merger was equivalent to a small nuclear detonation, yet both objects remained intact, transformed but not destroyed. And here's what has every space agency on Earth in emergency sessions. The merged object is now significantly larger, demonstrating new capabilities neither object possessed individually, and heading on a trajectory that brings it even closer to Earth than Atlas's previous path. Before we break down the collision footage frame by frame and reveal what this merger created, hit that subscribe button and smash the like, because what the Webb telescope captured might be the most significant event in human history. Two mysterious interstellar objects just became one, and whatever that combined entity is, it's coming our way with purpose and power we're only beginning to understand. Let's start with the biggest mystery. Oumuamua shouldn't be anywhere near our solar system anymore. After its 2017 flyby, it accelerated away from the Sun and headed back into interstellar space at speeds exceeding 58,000 miles per hour. By every calculation, it should be over 3 billion miles away from Earth by now, continuing its journey through the galaxy. Yet the James Webb telescope detected Oumuamua re-entering our solar system from a completely different direction than its original departure trajectory. Not just returning from the wrong angle at the wrong velocity, in a way that suggests it didn't just turn around. It went somewhere else first, then came back deliberately. A celestial mechanics specialist analyzing the trajectory data described the impossibility. For Oumuamua to return to our solar system, it would need to decelerate from its escape velocity, change direction, and accelerate back toward the Sun. That requires propulsion capability we suspected but never confirmed. The trajectory tells us Oumuamua can navigate like a spacecraft, not drift like a comet, and it chose to come back here. But the return trajectory is even more suspicious than the mere fact of return. Webb's tracking data shows Oumuamua didn't head toward the Sun or inner planets. It headed directly toward Atlas's projected position. The course was so precise that orbital mechanics experts calculated less than 0.01% margin of error. Oumuamua knew exactly where Atlas would be and when. The James Webb telescope first detected Oumuamua's return approximately 18 hours before the merger event. The object appeared suddenly in Webb's field of view during a routine Atlas observation session. At first, astronomers thought it was a data artifact or equipment malfunction. Then they realized they were watching something that had been gone for years, suddenly reappearing in exactly the right place at exactly the right time. As Webb continued tracking, Oumuamua began making visible course corrections. Small adjustments to trajectory, velocity changes, orientation shifts, all the behaviors that suggested active control rather than ballistic flight. And every adjustment brought it into more precise alignment with ATLAS's position. Atlas, for its part, also began maneuvering. The object that had been following a relatively stable path through the inner solar system started making its own trajectory modifications. Course corrections that matched Oumuamua's adjustments, creating a clear pattern of coordinated navigation toward a meeting point. A military space surveillance analyst who reviewed the tracking data made a chilling observation. This is rendezvous navigation. Both objects performing coordinated maneuvers to ensure they meet at a specific point in space at a specific time. This is textbook spacecraft docking procedure, just executed at interstellar object scale. They were programmed to meet, or someone was controlling them in real time to ensure contact. The final approach took approximately 6 hours. Both objects closed on each other with steadily decreasing relative velocity, slowing their approach as distance shortened. This is exactly what docking spacecraft do. Initial, high-speed approach, then gradual deceleration to minimize impact forces during contact. The James Webb telescope captured the actual merger in unprecedented detail, and what the footage shows challenges our understanding of physics, materials science, and what these objects actually are. At the moment of contact, both objects began emitting intense electromagnetic radiation across multiple wavelengths. The energy output spiked by a factor of several thousand in less than 10 seconds. Thermal imaging showed both objects' surface temperatures increasing to over 10,000 degrees Celsius, hot enough to vaporize most known materials, yet neither object showed signs of damage or degradation. An astrophysicist reviewing the merger footage described what happened. The moment they touched, both objects' surfaces became fluid, not molten like metal, but actively reorganizing at the molecular level. They didn't collide and stick together, they merged, flowing into each other like two drops of liquid combining. But this was controlled, purposeful reorganization, not random fusion. The merger process took exactly 173 seconds from first contact to complete integration. During those seconds, the Webb telescope recorded both objects reshaping themselves, extending appendages toward each other, interweaving structures in ways that looked almost biological despite clearly being technological in nature. The visual data is surreal. Sections of Oumuamua's elongated cigar shape extended and flattened, wrapping around portions of Atlas. Atlas's irregular surface developed protrusions that interlocked with Oumuamua's transformed structure. The two objects didn't just touch, they wove themselves together into a single unified entity. The energy release during this process was tremendous. Webb's instruments detected gamma-ray bursts, X-ray emissions, and intense magnetic field fluctuations. The electromagnetic pulse from the merger temporarily disrupted satellite communications across Earth's near-space environment. Yet despite this enormous energy output, both objects remained structurally intact throughout the transformation. When the merger completed after those 173 seconds, the resulting combined object had geometry unlike either original object. Not a simple combination of two shapes, but an entirely new configuration that suggested the merger was designed to create this specific resulting structure. The merged object is approximately 40% larger than Atlas was alone, with a more symmetrical, almost crystalline structure. Multiple observers have noted it looks less like a random space rock and more like a deliberately engineered platform or vessel. The surface displays regular geometric patterns, precise angles, and what appears to be deliberate segmentation into distinct sections with different properties. Most remarkably, the merged object immediately began displaying capabilities neither object had shown previously. Within minutes of merger completion, the combined entity emitted a powerful, tightly focused energy beam, similar to the beam Atlas had fired at Earth earlier, but significantly more powerful and sustained. This beam lasted over 3 minutes and targeted a specific region of space, transmitting what appeared to be complex data packages. Analysis of the merged object reveals capabilities that individually neither Oumuamua nor Atlas demonstrated before combining. It's as if the merger unlocked or activated systems that required both objects to function. The propulsion signature has changed dramatically. Before merger, Atlas showed propulsion capabilities far beyond natural phenomena, but still within theoretical frameworks. The merged object displays thrust profiles that suggest even more advanced systems, possibly multiple propulsion types operating simultaneously. A propulsion engineer analyzing Webb's data described the advancement. The merged object is generating thrust that appears to combine whatever systems Atlas was using with something new. We're seeing energy signatures consistent with both matter-antimatter reactions and what might be space-time manipulation drives operating together. It's like watching a hybrid engine using multiple exotic physics principles at once. The energy generation capacity has also increased beyond simple addition. If you combined Oumuamua's and Atlas's individual power outputs, you'd expect maybe 150 to 200% of Atlas's previous capability. Instead, the merged object is generating power levels exceeding 500% of what Atlas showed before merger. This suggests synergistic systems, components that work together to exceed the sum of their parts. The communication capabilities are particularly concerning. The merged object is broadcasting on frequencies and using modulation techniques that neither object used individually. The signals are more complex, carrying more information, and showing structure that suggests significantly enhanced communication technology. One telecommunications expert described it as alarming. It's like watching two primitive radio transmitters combine into a modern quantum communication array. The complexity jump isn't incremental, it's exponential. Whatever systems these objects contain, combining them created something vastly more capable than either alone. The Webb telescope also detected the merged object deploying smaller sub-objects, at least 7 distinct entities, that separated from the main body shortly after merger completion. These deployments are similar to what Atlas did at Mars, but the objects being deployed are larger and appear more sophisticated. These deployed objects spread out from the merged entity in a precise geometric pattern, maintaining exact distances from each other and from the main body. They appear to be forming some kind of network or array around the merged object, possibly sensors, communication relays, or defensive systems. Most disturbing, the merged object's trajectory has changed significantly from ATLAS's previous path. While Atlas was approaching Earth at an oblique angle that would have resulted in a distant flyby, the merged object has adjusted course to a more direct approach vector. Current projections show it heading toward Earth orbit insertion trajectory, not passing by, but moving into position to enter and maintain orbit around our planet. The deliberate nature of the merger raises the obvious question: why? What purpose does combining these two objects serve, and what does it tell us about their origin and mission? Theory 1. Staged deployment. Some researchers believe Oumuamua and Atlas were always meant to be two parts of a single system, deployed separately but designed to combine at a specific point in their mission. This theory suggests whoever sent these objects planned for them to survey our solar system independently, gather different types of data, then merge to combine their capabilities for the next phase of operations. A systems engineer explained this theory. It's like sending two specialized reconnaissance drones that operate independently, then combine into a more capable platform once initial survey is complete. Oumuamua scouted our solar system in 2017, gathered data, reported back. Atlas followed years later to build on that data. Now they've combined their capabilities for whatever comes next. Theory 2. Assembly in theater. This theory proposes that Oumuamua and Atlas are components of a larger system that requires assembly in the target solar system. Perhaps they can't transit interstellar space as a combined unit due to physical or energy constraints, so they travel separately and merge on arrival. One aerospace analyst compared it to human missions. We don't send assembled space stations into orbit. We launch them in pieces and assemble them in space. These objects might be doing the same thing, arriving as separate components, then assembling into operational configuration once they reach their destination. Theory 3. Repair and resupply. This theory suggests Oumuamua suffered damage or resource depletion during its 2017 solar system transit, returned for repairs or refueling using Atlas as a supply depot or repair facility. The merger might be a maintenance procedure rather than planned assembly. A spacecraft systems specialist noted, If Oumuamua is a probe that's been operating for potentially thousands of years crossing interstellar space, it would need maintenance eventually. Atlas could be a support vessel designed to perform repairs, transfer fuel or resources, or upgrade systems. The merger might be like watching a tugboat dock with a ship for servicing. Theory 4. Response to detection. This theory proposes that the merger is a response to humanity's detection and observation of both objects. Maybe individually they were sufficient for their original mission, but once they realized humans were tracking them, combining became necessary to gain capabilities for dealing with that awareness. A xenopsychology researcher explained, "Perhaps detecting and analyzing alien technology is part of their mission parameters. Once they realized humans were actively studying them, they needed enhanced capabilities to respond. Better communication systems, more sophisticated sensors, increased defensive capabilities. The merger might be an adaptation to changed circumstances." Theory 5. Critical mass activation. The most unsettling theory suggests certain capabilities require both objects combined to achieve critical mass or necessary component integration. Perhaps there are systems that simply cannot function without both Oumuamua and ATLAS present and integrated. The merger unlocked capabilities that were impossible for either object alone. A physicist exploring this theory offered a chilling thought. What if there are capabilities that require the combined mass, energy, or exotic materials of both objects to function? The merger might have activated weapons systems, defensive shields, or even more exotic technology like artificial wormhole generation. We might be seeing the assembly of technology we can't even conceptualize yet. After completing the merger, the combined object immediately began trajectory adjustments that have it on course for Earth orbit, and the precision of those adjustments suggests very specific plans for its arrival. Current tracking data shows the merged object will reach Earth orbital distance in approximately 11 days. The trajectory brings it to an altitude of roughly 22,000 miles above Earth's surface, geostationary orbit altitude where many human satellites maintain position. An orbital mechanics specialist described the implications. That altitude isn't random. Geostationary orbit allows objects to maintain fixed position relative to Earth's surface. Communication satellites use it because you can keep constant line of sight with specific ground locations. Whatever this merged object plans to do, it wants to stay in one place relative to Earth's surface. The approach angle is also significant. The merged object is coming in over the equator, the ideal approach for geostationary orbit insertion. This suggests sophisticated understanding of orbital mechanics and Earth's rotation. Whatever intelligence controls this object knows exactly how Earth's orbital space works. But here's what really concerns space defense analysts. The trajectory brings the merged object directly through the densest region of Earth's satellite infrastructure. Thousands of satellites orbit at various altitudes, creating a shell of human technology around our planet. The merged object's path cuts right through multiple orbital bands. A space debris tracking specialist explained the danger. If this object maintains its current trajectory without course corrections, it could potentially collide with dozens of satellites. Communication satellites, GPS networks, weather monitoring systems, all potentially in the path. Whether that's intentional threat, negligence, or confidence that they can avoid collisions, we don't know. Military space surveillance has gone to maximum alert status. Every tracking station on Earth is monitoring the merged object continuously. Space-based assets have been repositioned to maintain constant observation. And defense protocols for space object threats have been activated for the first time since these protocols were established. The object's velocity is also concerning. It's approaching faster than Atlas was moving before the merger, suggesting either increased propulsion capability or urgency about reaching Earth orbit. The acceleration profile shows sophisticated trajectory planning, burning energy at optimal points to maximize efficiency while minimizing transit time. Some analysts have noted the merged object is taking an approach path that keeps it in Earth's shadow for significant portions of the journey, minimizing visibility from ground-based telescopes and reducing solar heating on its surface. Whether this is strategic stealth approach or merely efficient trajectory planning is unclear. Space agencies worldwide are frantically developing scenarios for what happens when the merged object reaches Earth orbit in 11 days. None of the scenarios are particularly reassuring. Best case scenario, the object enters orbit and initiates clear, unmistakable first contact communication. Perhaps the merger was necessary to assemble communication systems capable of translating alien concepts into human understandable formats. In this scenario, we're 11 days from formal first contact with extraterrestrial intelligence. A SETI researcher described this possibility. Maybe everything we've seen, the flyby, the observations, the merger, has been preparation for this moment. The merged object might enter orbit and say hello in ways we can finally understand clearly. This could be the greatest moment in human history. Middle case scenario. The object enters orbit and continues observing without direct interaction. It becomes a permanent fixture in Earth's orbital space, watching, recording, possibly communicating with some distant origin point, but not actively engaging with humanity. We'd have confirmed alien intelligence in our orbit, but no clear understanding of its intentions. A diplomatic strategist noted the implications. How do you coexist with a powerful alien object in your planet's orbit that won't talk to you? Do you leave it alone? Try to disable it? Send astronauts to make contact? Every option carries enormous risks. Concerning scenario, the object's orbit insertion is a prelude to deployment operations. Once in position, it might release hundreds or thousands of smaller objects that spread across Earth's orbital space, land on the surface, or position themselves for purposes we can't yet identify. The merger might have created a factory or deployment platform. A military strategic analyst described this possibility. If that merged object starts deploying thousands of sub-objects, we'll be completely unable to track them all, much less respond to them. They could be sensors mapping Earth in incredible detail, communication nodes establishing a network, or even weapons positioning for strikes. We'd lose control of our own orbital space. Worst case scenario, the object enters orbit and immediately begins operations hostile to human interests, targeting satellites, deploying attack systems, or using weapons capabilities to damage Earth infrastructure from orbit. The merger might have assembled technology specifically designed for planetary assault or subjugation. A Defense Department analyst explained the nightmare. If this object is hostile and enters firing range of critical satellites or ground targets, we have almost no capability to stop it. Our anti-satellite weapons are designed for human-made satellites that don't maneuver unpredictably or possess exotic defensive systems. Against technology this advanced, our best-case defense scenario is trying to evacuate people from target zones after weapons activate. There's also the possibility researchers hate to voice. The object might attempt something completely beyond our framework for understanding. Technology and capabilities so alien that human minds literally can't predict or comprehend what it will do. We might be watching something assemble that our physics, tactics, and imagination are insufficient to evaluate. The merger event and impending arrival have triggered unprecedented global coordination and equally unprecedented panic barely being contained by information control. The United Nations Security Council has been in continuous emergency session since the merger. Representatives from every spacefaring nation are presenting intelligence, coordinating observations, and attempting to develop unified response protocols. For the first time in history, there's serious discussion of a unified Earth Defense Command. A UN diplomatic source described the atmosphere. Nations that can barely agree on anything are suddenly finding consensus on the need to coordinate. The merged object represents a threat no single nation can address alone. Whether cooperation survives first contact or falls apart under pressure remains to be seen. Space agencies have jointly established continuous monitoring protocols. At any given moment, at least 5 major telescopes are tracking the merged object. Data is being shared in real time across international boundaries in ways that would have been unthinkable weeks ago. The scientific cooperation is remarkable. Scientists from rival nations working together seamlessly because the stakes are too high for politics. Military coordination is proceeding more cautiously. While intelligence sharing has increased, nations are keeping their response capabilities separate and classified. The United States, Russia, and China have all repositioned space and ground assets for potential defensive operations, but none are sharing specifics about capabilities or planned responses. Financial markets remain volatile. Every new development with the merged object triggers trading swings. Some analysts predict economic collapse if the situation escalates. Others see opportunities in space technology investments and defense industries. The uncertainty is causing unprecedented capital flight into safe haven assets and physical resources. Religious institutions worldwide are in crisis mode. The theological implications of confirmed alien intelligence actively operating in Earth orbit are forcing rapid reassessment of fundamental doctrines. Some religious leaders frame it as divine test or revelation. Others struggle to incorporate alien visitors into cosmologies that place humanity at the center of spiritual attention. Public awareness of the situation has reached critical mass despite efforts at information control. The merger footage leaked within hours despite classification. Social media is exploding with speculation, analysis, and fear about what happens when the object arrives in orbit. Emergency services in major cities report increased calls about preparation for potential alien invasion scenarios. We have 11 days until the merged object reaches Earth orbit. 11 days to prepare for first contact, defend against potential threat, or simply watch helplessly as something far beyond our understanding takes position around our planet.